What's going on, guys? I wanted to play this interview for you guys. This is basically the victim that actually survived that soccer coach that took Omar Hernandez's life. He's speaking up, and I didn't hear this yet, so we're going to react to this together. But it seems like he's very upset with the way that police actually handled this. Let's jump in there and let's see what's going on.
On one interview with a boy who says he was sexually assaulted by a local youth soccer coach. Good evening once again, everyone. I'm Colleen Williams.
And I'm Michael Bradley. That coach was arrested for the murder of a 13-year-old boy last week. Mario Garcia Aquino was also charged with sexually assaulting at least two teenagers in 2022 and 2024. And police say there may be more victims. NBC4's Karma Dickinson live with an exclusive interview with that boy who says he was one of them. Karma?
Well, yes, more than a year before youth soccer coach Mario Aquino Garcia was arrested for the murder and sexual abuse of a North Hollywood child, another teenager had sounded the alarm about the same coach. That teen shared a story with us, but we do want to warn you, this report contains some graphic and disturbing details.
Right. So we basically covered this, that there were at least maybe possibly two prior teenagers that were assaulted by this guy, that the police weren't able to round those investigations out and arrest him prior to him taking Omar's life. So very, very sad, because we talked about, you got to be careful who you send your children to spend time with, and so it appears like maybe three families allowed their boys to spend alone time at the residence of this serial offender, and all three of them were abused, and one of them ended up losing their life. Let's hear what this young man has to say.
When Oscar Omar Hernandez was found murdered in Oxnard April 2nd, allegedly at the hands of his soccer coach, many were left asking how this was allowed to happen. No one more so than this young man.
I thought it could have been me. I thought, why couldn't the police do anything about my case? And they just left it open. And then they had to get to a teenage boy getting killed.
Dang.
They had to get to that point.
Speaking with the permission of his mother.
Very, 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 very sad, man. So, I told you guys this on my channel when I covered Oscar's story initially, and I found out about these previous cases. I said, listen, man, there are very few exceptions as to why it would take so long to solve a case like this. I say, typically, if we don't have these cases rounded out in, 1 to 3 months, most likely that case is not going to get solved. And I even gave an example of a case that took 2 years, but it was because the victim wanted to stop the case because it was just too emotionally taxing on them. They got therapy, they actually got religion too, and then they came back almost 2 years later and said, listen, I'm ready now. And then we moved forward and we actually got enough evidence that we were able to arrest the guy and, move toward a conviction. But I said, why did it take them so long to figure out this young man's case? And I didn't have the information, but even he's saying it. He's like, they just left my case open. So it wasn't him who said, hey, slow my case down. It was the police. I'm wondering, what were they waiting for?
The San Fernando.
Apparently, he's asking the same question.
Valley teen, who's asking us to call him John, also wanted us to alter his voice and not show his face to protect his privacy because of what he's about to share. He's 17 now, but he was 15 when he says he met Mario Garcia Aquino.
Like, he would buy us food, drinks.
John says Garcia Aquino was also his soccer coach. He says the man befriended kids on the team, and he became close with them. That's when John was having hard times with his family, and he says Garcia Aquino offered him work. And at age 16, he went to live with Garcia Aquino and his son, first in Sylmar, then in Palmdale. Wow. He says the coach offered him drinks, but he never thought much of it.
It was an orange juice. And
pure grooming. This is pure grooming. Going after troubled kids who are having problems with their families, kids who are part of families that would allow their child to go live with somebody else. Under no circumstances would I allow any of my children to live with anybody else. But that's what they look for. They look for vulnerable kids and vulnerable families. He's talking about buying drinks and food. This kid probably was growing up in a household with food insecurity, so he's not guaranteed a meal. And here's this guy offering him food, offering him drinks, alcoholic beverages, etc., grooming him to the point, and grooming the family to the point where the family relinquishes control and custody of their own kid and furnishes that control and custody to the abuser. This is classic grooming, classic predatory behavior. Unfortunately, there's still families out there who fall for this, because this could not have happened if the family did not fall for it. The child is a different story, but the family is who allowed this victim to go live with this serial abuser.
Made me feel tired after a while. Sleepy tired.
NBC has not verified what, if anything, was in those drinks. But in February of 2024, about a year and a half after moving in with Garcia Aquino, John says he woke up to find the coach
Pulling down my shorts. And I woke up, I punched him, and then he told me it was all a joke.
He was 16 at the time, and he says it happened again.
I go to sleep. I see him like trying to pull down my shorts again, and it was like 1 a.m, so I was freaking out. I didn't know what to do. I saw my shorts backwards.
Oh my God. Do you guys know how often that happened to this kid that he doesn't remember? Because it's clear that he was being drugged. It's clear he was being drugged. This probably happened, and God knows what happened, but it probably happened, whatever was happening, multiple times. Very sad stuff.
Now, how do you expect me to act?
John called 911 and his mother. This is video of that day, February 24th, 2024, when LA County Sheriff's deputies came to the home. John says Garcia Aquino had run away. The sheriff's deputy sent John to the hospital. He showed us the discharge paperwork showing the emergency room doctor diagnosis of sexual assault of an adolescent, positive urine screen for an unspecified drug, and toxic encephalopathy, meaning an impaired brain function. But John says he's unaware of the law enforcement investigation going.
And they didn't arrest him? What more could you ask for? I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry that I just went crazy. I'm telling you guys, as a bona fide, sworn sex crimes detective, they got everything they needed. They got everything they needed to effect an arrest on that man right then and there, just based off of what the news just told us. And I don't like doing that because we don't have the totality of the investigation. I don't have all the interviews, but just what they just said there, I don't know what more you could have needed. The doctor said that they have diagnosed him with clearly having physical signs of trauma. You know what that means? That means that they had to look at his behind and they could see trauma there. They're so, because it's difficult to see that on a young man compared to a female. They saw the evidence. They also saw that he was drugged and impaired. Oh my word. They didn't arrest this guy? Balls were dropped. Serious balls were dropped in this case.
Any further than that.
They called me speaking about it, but they just said that it was most likely going to be an open case.
Authorities eventually arrested Garcia Aquino for this crime, but they did so just last week, more than 1 year after John reported the assault. A year in which the 43-year-old Garcia Aquino continued to coach boys soccer.
Wow.
The assault arrest also came after Aquino was already questioned in Oscar Omar Hernandez's disappearance.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department took Omar's life. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, they took Omar's life. His life is gone because of them.
13-year-old had gone to visit Garcia Aquino at his home and was found dead 5 days later.
When what happens, it feels like I got ignored. Like if I wasn't a human being, that doesn't sit right with me. What if I'm not here right now?
Wow.
I could have been that 13-year-old boy.
Yes.
And NBC4 continues to push for answers from the LA County Sheriff's Department about those cases.
Wow.
Today, they declined to comment on any of the aspects of the timeline of this investigation, saying it has been forwarded to the district attorney's office. Tuesday, though, the DA's office told NBC4 that the 2024 assault case was under investigation until March 25th of this year.
Nah.
That's about a week before Oscar Omar Hernandez was found dead.
No.
Garcia Aquino is now charged.
It doesn't work that way, guys. It doesn't work that way. What additional leads were they looking for? What additional leads? What subpoenas were they waiting for? What additional leads were they looking for? They dropped the ball, guys. You're hearing it from me, from a pro. They dropped the ball.
With the death of Hernandez, the assault of John in 2024, and with another sexual assault of a minor in 2022. That charged just last week.
Wow, I told you guys, 3 victims. This guy was a serial. There are more victims out there too, but this guy, especially that he uses drugs to facilitate the abuse, he's a serial abuser. And the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, they are the reason that Omar is no longer with us, guys. They are complicit just as much as this monster. I see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.